the delegates in the hall, in the hallway, please take their seats? This is a call to the third annual Somerville United Neighborhoods Congress and the first annual meeting in Congress of the Community Development Corporation, the arm that we hope will help to revitalize the city of Somerville. I wish to point out a change in your agenda here. Father Kelly is from St. Joseph's, not St. Polycarp's, and on the bottom line, Father Doyle is from St. Polycarp's, not from St. Joseph's. If that's the only problems we have today, I hope. A call to Congress. The innovation by Father Kelly.
Let us pray. O Heavenly Father, you are the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end of all creation. Look lovingly on these your people gathered in your name, who look to you for guidance on this day. Bless, O Lord, our Alphas and our Omegas, our beginnings, our deliberations, and our conclusions. Help us to realize that we are called to many roles, so that we need your help to be loving and listening, to be sensitive and patient in all of them. How else can we be parents or children or workers or employers or whatever, and be friends and human beings at the same time? Help us, Lord, right now to be self-giving and not selfish. Prompt us that we may not play games, in any sense to be insincere, phony, or trifling with each other's values or loyalties. Bless O Lord, our intent and our intentions. You have brought blessings to all mankind. Bring us to share your concern for the good of all. May we work together to build up the earthly city, with our eyes fixed on that city that lasts forever. Grant that we may look with interest, even excitement, to the different roles and the variety of players that will be in evidence this day. Let us be alert to the many relationships we share that make us all brothers and sisters, your sons and daughters. Father, out of our astonishing variety, bring enough harmony and unity that however serious our considerations this day, we may enjoy these precious hours and one another. So, Lord, in the light of our limitations, send your gracious Spirit to direct and guide us, so that with your grace we may experience the rewards and consolations that flow from our honest efforts to make things newer and better in our neighborhoods. This we ask of you through Christ our Lord.
The Pledge of Allegiance. Let's have it. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I stood before this group last year and said, I don't know how much we did right because there aren't enough people mad at us. Well, evidently, this year, we did an awful lot right. Because we have an awful lot of people mad at us. I have been a member of the board for over 3 years. I pride myself on what leadership I may have given. I have heard from many of you your concerns about your neighborhood. And I have heard a lot of noise on the other end. I think some of you have also heard a lot of noise. We have entered into things that we were directed to do by you at this time last year. We have entered into them with a clear mind and the interest of you and the city at heart. At this time last year, we had just came off a public hearing on 121A. I think you know what we accomplished there. We then entered into the debate and the passage of the law to control condominiums. Out of this, we have been called just about everything under the sun. Now, I would like to take about 2 minutes to see where this noise and this rhetoric has come from. One gentleman accused us of trying to change the monetary system of the country. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Well, you and I, at our economic level, move nickels and dimes and dollars in the supermarket. Our currency is not transferring buildings from owner to owner. There's been a lot of airtime, most of it hot, has come from the chambers at City Hall. Let's take a look where that comes from. We entered in to talks with some aldermen in the city on the formation of the condo bill, because a weak condo bill was proposed that would do nothing for anyone except move some people out of their apartments with no protection. We sat down, or offered to sit down, with any reasonable man that wanted to sit and talk with us. We brought in the best advice we could find. We called all around the country to those who had condo laws and said, where did you go wrong? Some aldermen, thank God, were willing to sit down and talk. It was a thing of barter. and of understanding. Some chose to sit in City Hall and call us communists. Let's see where it came from. We have documentation that we consider to be absolute proof that 2 aldermen have bought 3 units, 3 condominium units at 112 Central, which is their thing to do. They can do what they wish with it. But where do you feel these 2 aldermen, where do you figure their loyalties are? With you? With you at Liberty Avenue? With you on College Avenue? On Highland Avenue? I say, and I ask all reasonable people, that this rhetoric stop. Because we have an interest in the grassroots neighborhood, because we care what happens, because we want to revitalize the city of Somerville. I am tired of being called names. This is the big lie. Scream often enough and loud enough, and someone is bound to listen. I think we all know that is not so. And damn it, I'm sick of it and I won't take it any longer. Now, if I can cool down, inside your folder are the words to "This land is your land," and this city is your city. So let's stand up and sing its graces.
This land is my land, from now
Thank you. At this time, what the hell's going on here? At this time, we will get in to the formal agenda of our meeting. Let me just say in passing, on the accusations I made, if you want to call them that, as to the involvement, business interests, a couple of our aldermen, if anyone wishes to stop by our office at 151 Highland, the documentation is there for all to see. For the formal part of our meeting, in the report of the Arrangements Committee, I turn the rostrum over to Mary Murphy.
Mary Kelly, I'm sorry.
Mary Kelly. I gotta cool down.
I am Mary Kelly, and I'm here to have approval of our moderator. We have selected Valentine Murphy, local 387 utilities workers. I move that we accept him as our moderator. Will somebody second? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? I'm sorry. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I wish all elections that I was ever involved in my life were that easy. To address ourselves to the agenda, I shall ask your approval of two matters that are in exception. One is that when the mayor's schedule permits, and he does appear, that he being the first citizen of the city, that we permit the agenda to be interrupted at that point so that he may address the Congress. The second is that the rent control question, which is down under your agenda at a later point at 3:20 in the issue workshops, that this be moved up and the report be made after the report of the Arrangements Committee. Now, those two exceptions to the agenda require your ratification. Do I hear a motion allowing the chair to so adjust the agenda?
So moved.
So moved, seconded. Anything on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, so ordered. Thank you. I'll hit it over here because if I bang it here, it's liable to hit your ears too hard. Next on the agenda, may I introduce and then ask for your vote of approval for our parliamentarian for today's proceedings, Catherine Priest Atkins. The chair will accept the motion to approve Catherine Priest Atkins as the parliamentarian for today's Congress.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Is there anything to be said in the motion? There being none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. It's so ordered. For the adoption of the rules of the day and the agenda, the chair recognizes Mary Kelly. Mary Kelly, please. Is this? Oh, they are already prepared. All right. On the reverse of your agenda sheet. On the reverse of your agenda sheet are the rules of the day, which have been distributed to you, which governs the rules under which we operate today with the Constitution, of course. A motion to approve is in order. Motion is made, seconded. Anything to be said in the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. So ordered. And now, for that introduction that I asked for, the brief fissure in the agenda on the rent control. Is the rent control issue ready to be presented this time, please? I'm reminded by our parliamentarian, I am pleased of this, that
in order for us to be precise. I did ask for the approval of the rules of the day, but to be sure, may I also ask for the approval of the agenda of the day with the two exceptions that we made. Motion is to adopt such agenda. Motion is made, seconded. All those in favor signify by aye. All those opposed, no. So. Thank you. Now, who shall I introduce here? Yes, yes, sure. That's all right. This is the panel under rent control, and this chair is merely to seek to act as a moderator without any position pro or con and without having had any introduction to the subject, and the chair immediately turns it over to the panel. Norma Mattis, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can anyone hear me? Oh, one mic? I'm sorry. I had one mic, I didn't realize it. I imagine everyone in this room is a little bit confused as to what's going on here. What happened was that the mayor had a previous commitment, but we felt was a fairly strong commitment that he would spend some time with us this afternoon. We realized that he couldn't come at 3:20 when the workshop was being run, but we felt we had a pretty strong commitment that he'd be here between 1 and 1:30. As you see, folks, he has not arrived. So we had to rearrange this by still having made the decision that we would still handle the situation at 1 o'clock. Now, Roy is going to introduce some people who would like to give you some testimony on rent control.
I'd like to recognize microphone 1, Paula Bowie.
Hi, I'm Paula Bowie, and I live at 110 Central Street. And I have been affected very strongly by rent control being taken off in March of '79. I was immediately, my rent went up $50 and had 11 housing code violations. So I went on a rent control strike, and as soon as it was cleared up and I had paid my back rent that I had withheld, I was served an eviction notice, went to court, and even though my landlord was asking I be out June 15th, and because I have 2 children and wanted to ask at least until the end of school, the judge ruled with the landlord. I then, at the very last minute, like June 10th, found an apartment. Now, I had been looking for about a year because I anticipated this happening. Couldn't find anything, and finally had to settle for something that was $400 a month, which was like 3/4 of my income. 3 months later, not even, I think it was 2 months later, my landlord called me up telling me he was selling the house and that I had first option to buy. Well, I laughed, and then, when reality set in, realized I had to move again, and ended up not being able to find any place and going and living with my 2 kids, sharing 1 bedroom in my parents' house. I finally found a place at 110 Central Street 2 months ago, and have been informed by my landlord that Mr. Peter Pirro has been over. He's the one that bought a couple of the condominiums right next door to me, along with Andrew Puglier, and that they have been over asking my landlord if they will sell the house so that they can also convert that to condominiums. So we need rent control, and we need it now.
On mic 2, I'd like to present Mrs. Gladden's testimony in regards to the rent control issue.
I'm Mrs. Laban. I live on Gilman Street here in Somerville. I'm here to represent myself and 18 families who have received an increase in rent in the past 6 months from $160 to $310. And I think the mayor should have showed up today to at least hear us out, regardless of what he had to do. And I think something better be done by the alderman and the mayor of this city before people are forced out of their homes and onto the street. Then what are they going to do? Are they going to say they're sorry afterwards and they made a mistake? We need rent control now, not a year from now or not next week. We want it now.
On Mrs. Jean Lodge will give her testimony in regards to the rent control issue.
Okay, my name is Jean Ward, and I'm a homeowner in West Somerville. And I feel that we need rent control back in this city because I can see the effects of the tenants just in my area. I feel that tenants have rights as well as landlords, and they should have places to live. That's why we need rent control back.
Mr. Jim Mulaney, I'd like to hear your testimony.
Mr. Chairman, it was my opinion here today to address the mayor if he had the decency to appear here. And I was going to propound two questions to him. He has long come out on the idea that if the Board of Aldermen sponsored rent control, he would then sign it. I would like to address this audience on one question. How many here are collecting Social Security? Would they please raise their right hands? How many here have ever collected unemployment compensation? Would they raise their right hands? Could this audience tell me in one voice who proposed, initiated, and sponsored these measures? The Congress or the President?
The President.
Now, why is the mayor hiding behind the Board of Aldermen? Why doesn't he sponsor, initiate, and propose rent control? I also was going to propound this question with different phraseology. Mr. Mayor, do you wish to go on record before this Congress that you will not sponsor, initiate, or propose rent control? And he couldn't slide off the hook on that, and then I would have turned and said, Miss Recording Secretary, put Mayor Broome on record in this Congress that he is opposed to rent control in this city.
That message by Jim Mulaney was meant for Mayor Broome. The rent control workshop will be commencing at about 3:20, and more people will be able to tell them their problems in regards to the big rent increases which we're getting here in citywide, 50 to 90% and up to 100%. So we expect to see a good crowd at the workshop. It'll be right in the auditorium.
I would like to thank everybody for allowing us this time because we feel it's a very important issue and we wanted the whole Congress to hear what the mayor had to say. It's unfortunate that he's not here to address the issue, but we still wanted you to know what was going on. Thank you. I'll see you at the workshop.
Thank you very much. On the agenda at this time is the report of the membership committee. Jean Ward, please.
Hello? Can you hear me? I would like to give the membership committee report. The membership committee is in charge of overseeing registration for the Congress. The delegates we have are East Somerville, 40 delegates, Union Square, Prospect Hill, 43, Spring Hill, 47, Winter Hill, 58, Davis Square, 65, West Somerville, 22. These delegates represent a total of 38 sunblock clubs and neighborhood associations. Sun CDC registered 7 delegates. The membership committee also contacted as many outside organizations as possible to invite them to our Congress. This year, a total of 153 delegates from 26 organizations signed up. May I make a motion to accept this report?
Motion is made, seconded, is to accept the report as presented by the membership committee. Anything to be said in the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. So ordered. Thank you. Next is the report of the Constitution Committee. Dick Bauer, please. Excuse me. These people do an awful lot of work in this, and they represent the committee in the work, so don't be fearful of applauding them as they come up to the mic.
Thank you, Val. I'd like to just inject a personal note at this point, which is that I'm glad so many people are here, but I'm sorry that there's so few smiling faces. Everybody looks real serious. Can I ask your indulgence? Everybody give me a big smile. Make my job much easier up here. Everybody that's great. Thank you. The Constitution Committee is reporting out 5 amendments to the S.U.N. Constitution. What I will do is I will read the amendments to you, and then we'll ask for your endorsement. Okay. So everybody, if you look in the Congress package, there's a pink sheet marked Proposed Amendments. Amendment 1, Article 4 on membership would be changed to read as follows. Any person who either owns or operates a business in Somerville, is employed in Somerville, or resides in Somerville may be a member of the S.U.N. by paying the membership fee as set by the Congress or the Senate. Amendment 2, a change in Article 5, Officers and Board. The introductory paragraph would be changed to read as follows. Board composed of President, Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer, 2 representatives from each of 7 areas, 3 elected at large, 5 appointed by the Board. Only delegates or senators from a given area may vote in an election for the area representatives from that area. In selecting appointed representatives, the Board shall make a reasonable effort to ensure that the Board is representative of various institutions and groups within the city. Related to that, and I apologize for the fact that this was left off of your printed copies, but as part of that same amendment, a change in Article 5B, it adds a new subsection 15. Neighborhood representatives are responsible for promoting neighborhood issues and encouraging the development of neighborhood leadership. Amendment 3, Article 5 on committees is changed in the following ways. Under the Executive Committee, in Section 1, subsection A, is added the line, the President shall act as chair. In the subsection C, it's changed to read as follows. The President, in an emergency, between board meetings, may call a meeting of the Executive Committee. All members of the Board will be notified and have the right to vote. The Executive Committee may act on behalf of the Board. Any action taken shall be submitted subsequently to the next board meeting for approval. For emergency action, a quorum will be a majority of the members of the committee. Under the same amendment are added 2 new committees. These are committees that have been in existence, but the amendment would formalize them. I'll read these completely. Okay. Section 2, Personnel Committee. A, shall consist of the Vice President and 4 other board members. These other members shall be appointed by the Vice President within 30 days after the Congress or after a vacancy occurs, subject to the approval of the Board. The Vice President shall act as chair. If there is no Vice President, the President shall act as chair. Section 3, Finance Committee, subsection A, shall consist of the Treasurer, the Chair of the Fundraising Committee, and 3 other board members. These other members shall be appointed by their Treasurer within 30 days after the Congress or after a vacancy occurs, subject to approval by the board. The treasurer shall act as chair. Subsection B shall be open to any other S.U.N member. Subsection C shall recommend a budget for the current year to the board within 45 days after the Congress. Subsection D shall recommend a budget for the following year to the board at the first board meeting in December. Subsection E shall present a monthly finance report to the board. And finally, this amendment. The Fourth Amendment is a change in Article 7. The Congress substitutes under subsection I the following wording: any member of S.U.N may be a delegate by paying the delegate fee as set by the board. Amendment 5, Article 5, Section A, subsection 3, duties of officers. To that subsection is added the following line: if the position of president becomes vacant, the vice president will become interim president until the next Senate meeting. On behalf of the Constitution Committee, I move that this report of the committee with these amendments be adopted by this Congress.
Motion is made and seconded that these amendments to the Constitution be adopted as reported by the committee. Is there anything to be said on any of the various constitutional amendments? Are you ready for the vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed by no. The chair rules that a 2/3 vote carries. Is there any challenge to the ruling of the chair? We're moving along at pretty good speed. That's a fine piece of work. I understand what it takes to bring about constitutional changes and the work that's involved. So it brings us to our next item on the agenda, to present to you the keynote speaker. May I introduce Mary Lavoie, please.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce our first keynote speaker of the day. Her name is Elta Lash, and she's from Connecticut. Elta's been involved in organization, block club organization, and citywide and statewide now for 7 years. She was a block club leader with HART. It's Hartford areas rallied together in Connecticut. She's past president, 79 to 80. Currently, she's the director of U.C.A.N. It's United Connecticut Action for Neighborhoods. She's come a long way in 7 years, from a block club leader to a director of a statewide organization, and that's fantastic. And they've worked on things just like we do. You know, Connecticut, you can say it's just like Massachusetts. We all have the same problems, and they've worked on issues of property taxes, police protection, community development block grant money, and they had a skywalk that was proposed that was going to be used with UDAG money. And of course, I guess people really didn't like that. After all, you can use UDAG money for other things besides skywalks. Housing, there was a big problem with housing, just like we have. You know, we have a housing problem. Connecticut has it too, and they have it in other states. It was, they rehabbed housing. There was a tax deferral on housing, absentee landlords, and we're all familiar with these things. I mean, it happens right here. Condominium conversions. You know, so Elta's going to talk. You know, she's one of us. She's people that has had the same problems, okay? And I'd like to introduce her now, okay? Elta Lash from Connecticut.
Thank you, Mary. As you come to this, your third community Congress, I'm sure that some of you can look back and remember the excitement of your first Congress here in Somerville. The past 3 years, I'm sure, bring you many rewarding memories of issues that you fought for and won, and of friends who shared the same concerns and gave their energy and their time to save their neighborhoods. The reputation of Somerville United Neighborhoods goes far beyond your city and even beyond your state. Looking over the past year, with many people from the community involved, I'm impressed by the residents of Spring Hill neighborhood who stopped a 6-story high-rise from being built on Porter Avenue. Right. Residents of Davis Square who got Hancock Street and sidewalks repaved. Residents of West Somerville who got a building on Garrison Avenue rehabbed. Union Square and Ward 2 residents got a commitment for pollution control device at the Bay State Smelting Company. In East Somerville, residents got a railroad bridge over Washington Street repaired. In 10 Hills and Mystic, residents won more police patrols to make their neighborhoods safer. And in Winter Hill, residents won a long campaign to clean up abandoned buildings in their area. However, my concern today is not that Somerville United Neighborhoods has won major victories in the last year, as important and as numerous as those have been. My concern is that state and city officials still don't understand what you are doing and what you have become. They are concerned because you use the word demand. It is time that politicians learn the lesson that they are in office for the people. In a democracy, people make the decisions. When you decide that you want fair taxes, affordable housing, and better police protection, they better produce it. Is it enough that a local politician who votes against neighborhood issues is out of office? Is it enough that state officials who vote for tax breaks for big businesses lose an election? Is it enough that developers who want to change our neighborhoods must deal with neighborhood people? No, it is not enough. Because you, the people, represent the only hope for Somerville. You represent a permanent change in the way things will be done in Somerville, in the state, and in the country. Maybe this is because you are the ones who make democracy real. Until all politicians realize that they are elected not to tell us what's good for us, but to do what we want. Until all the rich developers and corporations realize that they can't change our neighborhood every time they see a chance to make more profits. Until politicians realize that they can't make promises to us in November and then forget us in December. Until every person in this room is as important and as powerful as the multi-million-dollar developer. We must continue to organize and to build. Somerville has problems. Somerville needs you to solve those problems. You must become stronger so that the agenda of Somerville becomes housing that people who live here can afford to rent. Safe neighborhoods where people can raise their children and visit their friends without fear. Taxes which tax those who can pay rather than bleed the working people in cities. Until the politicians of Somerville and of the state work on this agenda, your job is not done. One of the things that I've learned as a member of HART in Hartford is that our strength is each other. Each one of us is important. No matter how long our struggle takes, whether it's 3 years, 30 years, or even 300 years, our commitment to stand together and to fight together is important. I want to thank you for inviting me to this Congress and share this experience with you. S.U.N has made great progress in the last 3 years. The future prospects are very challenging. I am very sure that the people in this room and the people in your neighborhoods are ready to meet this challenge. Mary had asked if I would answer questions. If anyone would have some questions about some of the things that have been happening. I want to say I was sitting there when the rent control panel was presented, and I can't believe that this is what people are experiencing. This seems to me to be one of the most challenging and far-reaching issues that people in Somerville are going to have to face. If the tide is not turned, and if these kinds of issues are not dealt with in our favor, we will not be here to see the coming days. So it is absolutely essential that we stand together and that we continue to fight no matter what the cost, whether it be meetings, whether it's time delivering flyers, dealing with city officials. We must stick together until these issues are solved. If they are not solved, we may not be here much longer. I don't know if there are any questions. I think that what we're doing all across the country is probably one of the most exciting things that's happened. And I really believe that the future of our country depends on this kind of activity. Does not depend upon an election every 4 years. Does not depend on an election every 2 years. It depends upon us being in there, being involved, and holding officials accountable.
Thank you very much, Alta. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you very much, and we wish a safe journey back, and we appreciate the fact that you've taken this long journey to be with us. Our agenda seems to be moving with great alacrity, and next, and I would ask your indulgence on this because the lights will be dim, there will be a sun slide show, and following that is the important nominating committee report. So please, if you do happen to go out, I'd prefer that you didn't, but if you do happen to go out, please be as quiet as possible and be back so that you can see both this show and be present for the nominating committee. To present the Sun Slide Show is your secretary, Paula Bowie, please. Paula will direct it from the floor.
Okay, could we please outright eviction and the boom of condominium conversion? Too many tax-paying residents of Somerville have been hurt, and many more are still struggling, suffering the effects of no rent control and no eviction control. Roy Leathers, having been a tenant in Somerville since 1916, has some strong feelings about these lack of controls over our own lives. Roy says, "Not only does the lack of rent control affect me, it affects my sister who is a widow living on a fixed income like myself. I'm involved because I'm speaking out for her." Jean Ward responds differently. She says, "I think the city needs rent control to get rents back into an affordable range. As a homeowner, I feel that a tenant shouldn't have to bear the full payment of a mortgage. After all, tenants have a right to live, and besides, without tenants, there'd be no landlords." The sad and disgusting side is that all too many of these buildings are not even being cared for. Many are being allowed to run down until eventually they become uninhabitable, like this crooked house on Flint Ave. The Pearl Cross Block Club is currently working together on getting this and these other buildings on Cross Street and Pearl Street taken care of. The Medford Hamlet Block Association fought a proposal to have a grassy lot converted to a parking lot. Cosmo Capabianco, the owner of this building on Medford Street, wanted the parking to accommodate his building. Even though it is in violation of the city zoning laws, the trees and the shrubs were removed, and the lot is now paved. It is felt by many of us that because of this incident, Mr. Capabianco has chosen to get back its son through its Community Development Corporation. This building on Walnut Street has, after many years of neglect, been bought by the Sun CDC. Money has even been allocated for rehab. So why hasn't it been done? Mary Lavoie speaks angrily. Sun CDC, she says, came through for the residents. They bought it, they cleaned it out, and were about to begin when Sal Casparella, the building superintendent, revoked that permit. He took this action under pressure from Mr. Capabianco, who claims that there were zoning irregularities. Mary is only one of many who share this anger, frustration, and bitterness at the politics surrounding this and other issues. In a similar project, this building at 112 Central Street, which Dennis spoke of earlier, was burnt out, rehabbed, and converted to condominiums by Mr. Capabianco and his partner in the project, Mr. Casparella. And to make the politics even more confusing, 3 of the 6 condominiums have been sold to Alderman Andrew Puglia and Alderman Peter Pirro at below advertised cost. Perhaps these aldermen should not be setting policy on condominium conversion controls? Perhaps these aldermen should not be setting, perhaps this is why they have taken it upon themselves to try and destroy the condominium conversion control ordinance written by Sun and passed last fall by the Board of Aldermen. It passed as a result of hundreds of hours of research and by the constant show of support at dozens, and I mean dozens, of meetings during hot weather by hundreds of people. We succeeded by seeing the strongest ordinance in the state passed, a major victory for Somerville residents. We must continue our struggle, as the tenants in this building at 77 Liberty Ave know all too well. The landlord is in the process of converting them into condominiums, and some elderly tenants have been displaced as a result. The Porter Ave Block Club fought and defeated a proposal to have a 6-story, 40-unit apartment building put on this lot because of zoning violations. The Boston Street Block Club also fought a proposal by Cosmo Capabianco to tear down these 2 buildings and put up an apartment building. Unfortunately, they lost. Right next to these buildings is the Pope School. Mr. Capabianco has also put in a proposed bid for buying that school. I wonder what he's going to do with that huge lot. Zoning has been a major concern of neighborhoods across the city. 115 Highland Neighbors is currently fighting in court a proposed condominium project on this lot at 115 Highland Ave. Dick Bauer, a member of that block club, sees no need for so many people having to fight for protections that have already been granted. Dick says, we have protections under the zoning laws. However, developers are continually granted variances. The people responsible for enforcing these zoning ordinances go out of their way not to enforce them. A year and a half ago, Noah Eddy, a member of the Winter Hill Neighborhood Association, said, our neighborhood group and other Sun block clubs will continue to band together to push this thing until we see some action. And action they've seen. As of now, this building, one of many abandoned buildings that group committed themselves to, has been rehabbed and 5 units have already been rented. That's success and accomplishment. Residents at the Mystic Housing Project are still waiting for a stairway to be built on this dangerous hillside, even though money has been allocated. Children climb this cliff daily to get to and from school. The school is at the top of the cliff. They'll continue to get hurt until the stairway is built. Some of these residents are also working with S.U.N as state-subsidized tenants to try and obtain utility allowance assistance from a mistake made by SCEOC. Also on energy, S.U.N members joined fair share in getting the fuel adjustment passed through the legislature. Some of our community problems can be solved with just a sign. The Hancock-Cherry neighbors got this one-way sign put at the corner of Hancock and Summer Streets to stop cars from speeding down Hancock onto Summer. Other problems aren't so easily or readily solved. Members of S.U.N have joined forces with the many unions, service agencies, and other organizations across our city in opposing the drastic and devastating cutbacks due to Proposition 2.5. Our schools are being closed. Garbage will become a common scene as more city workers join the unemployed. Homes will be destroyed by fires because our fire department will be functioning below quota. Police protection will decrease due to layoffs. And our youth, the ones that are going to be bringing up this city, are going to suffer severely as their much-needed programs and services are scrapped. Many residents feel these cuts will increase crime problems. Members of the S.U.N Crime Committee have been working with the city, judges, police department, and the business community in getting the restitution program expanded here in Somerville. Some services that we now take for granted were begun through S.U.N. The community schools program have been tremendously successful, as has the United Senior Vans. These programs are needed, and they were worked for long and hard. Let's see to it that they continue. Health and safety is always uppermost in our minds. This is especially true since the chemical accident in East Somerville only a year ago. A similar